beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about a new Too Faced palette. This is the APPLEY in Love palette. I purchased mine from Ulta Beauty. It is available on the Too Faced site as well. I haven't seen any information about if this will be at Sephora, when the international releases are expected. All I know is I saw this in the new makeup section at Ulta and I clicked order. I used my points and here we are. I look forward to the Too Faced fall palette every year. I've had a lot of ups and downs with this Too Faced palette release, but I do purchase it every year. I look forward to it every year. There's usually a tasty food theme, whether that's gingerbread, pumpkin spice. We had a maple syrup pancakes one year. Didn't love that year. And this year, it's apples. We're back to the tin packaging. They renewed my hope with the Italian Spritz palette, and I just felt it deep down that we were going to get another tin palette this year, and this is it. So hopefully this lives up to our expectations. I will say, of course, this is scented. It has a spicy apple scent, not quite as cinnamon forward as what I call the craft store smell. This is definitely decidedly an apple cinnamon type of scent. I like it. I don't find it too strong. However, I am somebody that doesn't mind fragrance in my makeup, and I know that some people either don't like it or are sensitive to it, so just be aware. This is, in true Too Faced fashion, a scented palette. I'm going to show you some swatches. Of course, I have some comparisons as well. And I'm also going to show you these two eye looks. I think from far away, you can't tell as much how different they are, but when you see them close up, this one has the red, this is more of the yellow and pink side. So I'm going to show you these two eye looks, of course, too. Let's just start by taking a close-up look at this palette and its packaging, and then we'll get into some swatches and tutorials. Here's a look first at the outer carton that the palette comes in. This palette is retail priced at 54 US dollars. I just searched and it's still only available at Ulta and Too Faced right now. Not sure if this will be an Ulta exclusive, but I don't see it available at Sephora or Nordstrom or anything like that. So no information officially from Too Faced yet about when and where this palette will be more widely available. As you can see, the palette has different packaging on the actual palette itself versus the cardboard box that it comes in. So the apples have these little emerald looking jewels as their leaves. I love this. This is very Too Faced sensibility. So I'm happy to see a little bit of that cutesy packaging coming back, but it definitely feels a step up, a little bit luxurious. One would hope for $54. This palette has an even split, 9 mattes, 9 shimmers. However, some of the shimmers do have varying textures, which you'll be able to tell more in the actual swatches. I'm surprised that there's no matte with glitter shade in this palette. I should say pleasantly surprised to see that. And when I look at this palette, I see two distinct sides. The first three columns are this really warm, pinky, like a neutral with a twist type of color story. So that's how I decided to swatch this palette, was in columns instead of rows, because it just screams these two different 9-pan palettes to me. My eyes cannot unsee it, so I decided to swatch it that way. Of course, you'll see the finger swatches on top and then a corresponding brush swatch below. I don't have any primer or anything like that. It's just the shadows straight onto my skin. That way you can get a feel for what these look like texturally without the primer, and then I'll show you a look with primer later. Here's the second little 9-pan in this palette swatched. This is very red and green forward. So I'm going to let this guide my eye looks as well. Today I'm going to do two different looks. I really want to test this theory that I have that this palette has two very distinct little 9-pan palettes inside of it. As soon as I opened this up, especially in person, I think it's more obvious, I saw these two 9-pan palettes perfectly laid out. So I want to do a look with each side of the palette and see how this 9-pan palette theory plays out. So let's zoom in. Look how cute my little fall leaf earrings are. I love making fall jewelry. I mean, I love all things fall, so probably not surprising. Let's prime my lids first. After I prime both of my lids, I'm going to work on one eye at a time. Like I said, I'm using half of the palette for one eye and the other half for the other. I'm starting off with the red and green side by just using a mixture of these toasty, warm brown shades in the crease area. I want this to be a really blown out, warm, kind of dramatic eye look. Then I want to do something a little bit more simple and kind of cutesy on the other eye. So I'm just laying down these warm tones as a little bit of a base for this sultry red eye look that I want to do. So next I'm taking the red matte shade. This one's called Candy Apple, and I'm using a small fluffy brush and just really shaping that outer corner and outer crease area. And I want this to go pretty far off the lid towards the tail of my brow. And of course, I have to use this really bright metallic red shade. This is a standout from this palette, in my opinion. This is the namesake, of course, Appley in Love. So I'm just really packing that all over my lid with my fingertip. I was impressed with the pigmentation and just how smooth this metallic shadow is. And now to add a little bit of smokiness, I'm taking the shade Baskets Full on a pencil brush and just kind of messily smudging that right where a cat eyeliner would be. Next, I want to add some brightness and light to the look. And of course, I am just a shimmer goblin, so I will continue to add more and more shimmer until well past the time for stopping has gone. I'm adding apple of my eye to the inner part of my eyelid. And then I'm going to take this shimmery mint green shade called Slice Slice Baby, and I'm adding that to my lower lash line, but I'm leaving that very inner corner area blank. Now, this shade was just so pretty, and I was just feeling this eye look so much that I kept adding this minty green shimmer first to the brow bone, and then I kind of decided after looking more that I would also add it just to the very top of my cheekbone too, to get that reflection catching on the brow bone and the cheekbone at the same time with that green. I said I got a little carried away, but you know what? I love the way that this turned out. It's a great way to experiment with my look a little bit, but it still feels comfortable to me. So I loved that. I'll be trying that technique again. Now we're moving over to the other half of the palette on my other eye. Like I said, I want something bright and kind of simple, very bubbly, shiny. This is almost like the summer into fall type of look, and I'm using two different matte shades, one on the outer crease and lid, one on the inner crease and lid, and then I'm eventually going to use some shimmer shades to do a little bit of a pink to gold ombre type of look. So I'm adding this deep gold called Crunch Time to the outer part of my actual lid, just not going up into the crease. And then I'm going to use a pink shadow on the inner part of my lid. This is a really shimmery, almost duochrome type of color. It has a little bit of a shift to it. It's called Sweetie Pie. It's really cute. It's just not quite as foily and thick as the Appley in Love shade, for example, was. Next, I wanted to add a little bit of balance to that lower lash line area. So I'm using Core Values, which is that pink matte shade, and putting that really close to the lash line. Then I used an even smaller amount of this purple shade called So Snackable, just to really define that lower lash line without bringing the color down too far. Then I used the shade Sweetie Pie again on the lower lash line right below where I had placed it on the upper lid. Just kind of packed that on for that pop of shimmer on the lower lash line. And then I'm using this very neutral champagne shade called Sparkling Cider to really blend those two shades together right on the center of the lid as a bit of a highlight. And then, of course, as usual, I got carried away and added it on my inner corner, my brow bone, because that's just how I roll. I already warned you. Then I curled my lashes and added this Maybelline Sky High mascara. And that is the finished looks. I mean, it ended up being one look because I'm wearing them at the same time, but two pretty different eye looks. I really felt inspired in different ways by these two different color stories that I was focused on in the palette. Overall, everything performed pretty well for me. I do think that the red matte shade feels quite a bit drier than all the other mattes in the palette. And I do like the more intense shimmers more than the more sheer topper types of shimmers, but that's more of a preference than a performance thing. So in general, I'm really happy with how these applied and how they've been wearing. So formula seems pretty darn good in this Too Faced palette. I'm happy with it in general. Now it's time for one of my favorite things. It's palette comparison time. Let's start first with a past Too Faced fall palette. This is the Gingerbread Extra Spicy. I pulled out all of the fall palettes. I do have all of them. Like I said, this is one of my favorite releases. And this was definitely the closest of all of them. So instead of doing each and every palette and they're all kind of similar, kind of different, I decided to just go for the one that was the most similar. The main differences here are the greens and that red metallic. I think those are the superhero shades of this palette anyway, so that's kind of what I expected. Next, this is an oldie. Had to find this in the archives. The ColourPop Through My Eyes palette. This was actually requested by somebody on Instagram, and this was such a good choice because I didn't even think of this one. This palette came out so many, many moons ago that it wasn't really mentally on my radar. Now, obviously, there are quite a few differences here. Through My Eyes is a bit brighter, the greens aren't as light, but color story wise, these are undeniably similar. Next, I combined two of the Oden's Eye Christmas palettes to try to get as close to this color story as I could. The Oden's Eye colors that are similar tend to be a lot shimmerier, and I think you can tell that the Oden's Eye shimmers are just super bright and foily compared to the metallic shades in the Too Faced palette, but especially on the end there, some very similar types of colors. If you already have these Oden's Eye Christmas palettes, then you can recreate some pretty similar looks. That's what I would say. Next, another suggestion from Instagram. This is the Nomad Hudson Valley palette, one of my top favorites, not just from Nomad, but in general. This one I would say really, really similar mattes, not very similar shimmers. But I will say, for what it's worth, these mattes in the Nomad Hudson Valley palette are way softer and more pigmented. I prefer them for sure. So it just depends on if you're really after those shimmer shades or not. And the last comparison I have for you is another combo. These are from Lethal, the Midnight Serenade, and Mellow Grove palettes. This is a lot more similar than I thought it was going to be. We are lacking that mustard yellow, which I think is another staple shade in the APPLEY in Love palette. But I do think you could pull off some startlingly similar looks with these Lethal palettes as well. So this comparison definitely surprised me. I think this is a really nice little fall release palette for Too Faced. It's definitely what I was expecting. It's what I was hoping for. Cute little tin packaging is back. It smells good. All the shades make sense with the theme. I really like the layout. Some of the shades are hit or miss formula-wise, but overall, I would say this is pretty good. Pretty good. I still think that the Italian Spritz palette performs a little bit better for me, but I'm not disappointed in this. I'm really happy with my purchase. It's giving me the fall Too Faced feels that I needed. So I'm happy about this overall. I would love to hear what you think about this palette. Are you interested? Are you going to be picking it up? Are you going to use some of the comparison palettes that I showed instead? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Okay, I'm so happy to see that. I've been mm, words. Look how cute my fall earrings are. I love these. I'm really excited about the things I made for my Etsy shop this year. It's been rough on Etsy, I'll tell you that. Okay, I'll be back. Take two. Last time I was on the Ulta site, this eye primer was not on the site. It looks like they're repackaging a lot of stuff though, so maybe that's the problem. If they discontinue it, I'm gonna cry. It's my favorite primer. We have to see how this red looks on the lid. Oh my gosh, I'm a little autumnal apple. Oh, that's real cute. That's cute. Okay. It looks so good. Gotta use some of the green. Why not? Okay, call me crazy, but I'm gonna put a little bit right here too. That looks so cute. I love it. One thing about me is I love a mustard yellow. I don't know if you could tell. These make a very nice little jingly sound. Can you hear it? I love fall. This little shimmer right here that's cute. I think it's cute. I've never really worn eyeshadow right here before, but I like it. Oh, I wish that it was fall weather. It's still a billion% humidity and I can't really deal with it. Got a little K beauty haul coming soon. Can you tell? All right. Thanks for watching. If you're into fall stuff, go check out my fall and Halloween earrings on my Etsy shop because I made some really, really cute stuff this year. And if you like fall stuff, then maybe you'll like that because that's also fall stuff. Words are hard. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you taking a little piece of your day to watch this video. That's cool. Thanks a lot. You're awesome. I love your face. I'll see you real soon. Okay? I'll be here. You'll be here. Be a good time.